What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg, and I am pumped to be here right now. We are talking a topic that I am very excited for and was the second biggest question following the 2022 NBA Finals. The first biggest question is, will Cyborg walk into traffic after watching his Celtics lose? I'm here to confirm that I did try, but someone held me back. Number two, is Steph Curry officially a top 10 NBA player of all time? And we are doing this ranking as of today, where it stands right now. We're not projecting into the future. So what I did was I sat down and I dug into the numbers and I dug into the accolades. And we're going to give you an answer by the end of this video that you're going to agree with. And you're going to be like, you know what, Cyborg, you're right. But let's start with a little housekeeping. We're growing at an incredible rate here on the Break the Silence with Cyborg show. And the reason is, all off season, you're going to be missing sports. And you're going to wonder where to consume these sports. And when you watch the mainstream media, you're going to hear topics about LeBron every single day. Here on Break the Silence with Cyborg, we're going to be talking about everything in the world of sports, and I'm so pumped to do so. So please take a second to like and subscribe to the channel. Because the girl of my dreams told me that if I hit 200 subscribers, she'll let me take her to dinner.
What?
So please, make my dreams come true. Let's get straight into it. We're starting today's show off with the daily bar, which we're going to implement on all of our videos. And we're starting with the Drake line appropriately because his album dropped yesterday. In Churchill Downs' Jack Harlow song, Drake says, "Praying on my downfall, don't make you religious, man." And this one's particularly appropriate because I didn't pray on Drake's downfall. But that album he dropped yesterday was a piece of crap. Let's get into the Steph Curry discussion. We'll start with Steph Curry's accolades. He has 4 NBA championships. He is a 2-time MVP, including 1-time unanimous MVP, being the only unanimous MVP in the history of basketball. He's an 8-time All-Star in his 13 seasons and 4-time All-NBA first team. He has won 2 scoring championships and averages for his career 24.3 points, 6.5 assists, and 1.7 steals. He is also the #1 3-point shooter of all time, and that is not an argument that anyone's going to argue against. He has the most threes in NBA history, and he is going to smash that record going forward. The interesting thing about Steph Curry's career is that he is so great in so many ways, but there are also a couple things that you could push back on Steph Curry. And the reason that you bring these things up is because when you're making a top 10 list, there can only be 10 guys on it. So on that list, you have to really nitpick to decide, is he better than some of these guys? And that's why you hear so much criticism about guys in the top 10, even though, you know, they're the second greatest basketball player that's ever walked the planet. They still get criticized at such a high level because when you're comparing them to the other guys on that list, you have to bring up things like that to truly distinguish between the greatest players of all time. A couple of the biggest holes in Steph Curry's case to be top 10 are his counting numbers as '1. And the reason I point those out is because I said that we're making this list as it stands today, not 10 years from now. We're making it today, 2022, June, whatever it is, 18 or something like that. I've worked so many days in a row and not slept since the Celtics lost that I'm not 100% sure what day I'm at. But Steph Curry all-time is 47th all-time in scoring. Right in front of Tom Chambers and 400 points behind the great Mitch Richmond. And that's a hole in Steph Curry's case when you're talking top 10 all-time. Because when you look at the other guys on this list, Kareem, LeBron, Kobe, Michael, Wilt, Shaq, Hakeem, Tim Duncan, they're all in the top 15. So you have to ask the question, do those stats matter to you? Does sustained success matter as much as short-term success? And I think the interesting discussions you got to have are, and people's argument will be, and it's a big argument in the LeBron-Jordan debate. LeBron has sustained longevity where Jordan had 6 unbelievable seasons where he won titles, and he was great in the other seasons, but those 6 seasons are the ones that people tend to focus on. Or if you're arguing for LeBron, you talk about his longevity and making however many straight finals he did, 8 or 9, and how many he's made in total. When you're talking about Steph Curry, you're talking about a man who has led one of the greatest dynasties of all time, but his overall counting numbers are not on the same level as the rest of these guys. Now, the second biggest hole in Steph Curry's argument is that he has 4 titles and only 1 finals MVP. Even though I give him the Andre Iguodala one, I still think Steph should have won that. But the problem with the other 2 titles are that he was the second best player on his own team in the prime of his career to Kevin Durant. And I think it's hard to make a Kevin Durant as a top 10 NBA player all time debate. I don't really know what your argument would be for any of that, because Durant doesn't have the counting numbers, the accolades, the championships. There's really not a lot you can use to argue Kevin Durant's in the top 10. So if Steph was in the prime of his career and the second best player to a guy who's not top 10 all time, what do you do with that? Because when you're looking at Magic and Kareem, yes, they were on the same team, and one of them had to be the second best player. They're second best to another guy who's top 10 all time. So let's start with looking at the list a little more in depth here. I think none of us will argue that Steph is better than LeBron, MJ, or Kareem. And that's in no particular order, because that is not a debate I'm trying to have right now. It's one we'll have here soon, but we're not having it right now. A couple honorable mentions that I saw on a lot of top 10 lists I was looking over. Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, and Kevin Durant. When you look at their numbers, they're just not better than Steph Curry's. Their accolades are not better than Steph Curry's. So those are debates that are not worth having. A lot of people are bringing up the discussion, is Steph the best point guard of all time? Is he better than Magic? And when you look at their careers, Magic Johnson has 1 more NBA Finals championship. Magic Johnson has 1 more MVP. Magic Johnson has 4 more All-Star appearances and has 3 Finals MVPs to Steph's 1. The thing about Magic Johnson that made him so special was his ability to do it all. His ability to perform in the biggest moments in whatever his team needed him to do to win the game. They always talk about this infamous series where Magic Johnson played center for the Los Angeles Lakers when they won that title. Magic Johnson, for his playoff career, averaged 12.3 assists, 7.7 rebounds, 19.5 points, and 1.9 steals. Magic Johnson truly was the greatest top 3 leader of all time with LeBron and MJ. So, to me, it is hard to argue that Steph is better than Magic. I'm not sure what the argument you can make is. And I really broke it down, and I don't think you could say anything. Steph was a better scorer, but Magic was more efficient. Magic was a better passer, rebounder, defender than Steph Curry. The next guy that we get into, the next 2 guys, and we'll try to combine these so the video doesn't go too long. But here are let me read you the names that are left on this list. Tim Duncan, Bill Russell, Shaq, Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, Hakeem, and Kobe. So you have to make an argument that Steph is better than 2 of those guys in order to crack the top 10. We had established he's not better than LeBron, MJ, Kareem, and Magic. Let's get into Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is one of the most underrated players of all time because of his style of play not being very exciting. But when you truly look at Tim Duncan's numbers, they're incredible. He has 5 championships to Steph's 4. They both have 2 MVPs, and I bet some of you out there didn't know that Tim Duncan had 2 MVPs. Tim Duncan has 3 finals MVPs to Steph's 1. Tim Duncan was a 15-time All-Star. And you might say, well, Steph's only played 13 years. Yeah, even if Steph played as many years as Tim Duncan's, he couldn't reach that many All-Star games. Tim Duncan was a 10-time All-NBA first team to Steph's 4. 10-time All-NBA first team. They said he was the best at his position. Now, the true discrepancy between Tim Duncan and Steph is that Tim Duncan was a 15-time All-Defensive player. Steph Curry is often hunted on defense. He's much improved on defense because he's gotten stronger, and he's not a complete liability. But he's certainly not, by any stretch of the imagination, a good defender. Tim Duncan was one of the greatest defenders this game's ever seen, and I think you could argue a top 5 defender this game's ever seen in the same discussion as Hakeem Olajuwon. Tim Duncan, in his playoffs careers, averaged 19.5 point. I was looking at the wrong numbers here. Tim Duncan in one playoff run averaged 27.6 points, 15.4 rebounds, and 4.3 blocks. The thing about Tim Duncan and Magic Johnson, and the common theme you're going to see on these lists, is that these great players in the biggest moments elevated their games. And I talked about this a couple videos ago, is that the problem with Steph Curry's career and why he wasn't previously on the top 10 list is because when he got to the finals, he was very good, but he didn't elevate to all-time stratosphere. And you're going to see this when I talk about Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq in one finals averaged 38 points and 16.7 rebounds. 38 and 16.7. That is truly the definition of when your team needs you most, elevating to a level beyond your normal great self. So to me, Steph is not better than Tim Duncan. I think that's an argument you can't make. So we're 5 guys in. Then we start getting into some of these older players that are very hard for all of us to rank. And the problem and the difficulty in making a top 10 list is it's really hard to compare guys like Wilt and Bill Russell to guys who play today. Because you heard JJ Redick say it on TV, Jerry West couldn't dribble with his left hand. But when you watch Kyrie Irving, this guy has the ball on a string and can finish from anywhere and make shots that we never saw Jerry West make. But the argument back is that if they grew up in this era, those guys would be able to do the same things that guys in this era can do. And I don't know that that's a strong argument, in my opinion. I think there's a certain level of, let's just look at what you actually did and not say what you would have done or what you could have done in different eras. It's too hypothetical. It's impossible to argue. I mean, if you say, yeah, if Jerry West grew up in this era, he would be a modern day Steph Curry. It's just really hard to say that these guys would shoot the same way that Steph did, or that guys would shoot better in this era if they had worked on it more. So let's get into Bill Russell versus Steph Curry. Bill Russell has 11 rings to Steph's 4. The thing that kind of shocked me that I don't think a lot of people know, Bill Russell had 5 MVPs to Steph's 2. Bill Russell also averaged 22.5 rebounds a game for his entire career. What do you even do with a guy like Bill Russell when you're talking on this list? Because, and it's the same with Wilt, their numbers are so absurd compared to the guys today. But you also got to take into account, to some degree, the competition they're playing against. So to me, Steph is not better than Bill Russell. I think Bill Russell's accolades, stats hold up as better than Steph Curry's. Let's move on to a couple guys that I think we have a real debate about. You have Shaq, Larry Bird, and Kobe. These were truly the three that I sat here for a while, not sure what to do with. Kobe, I came to the conclusion that I think Kobe still ranks higher than Steph all time, but that one is pending. If Steph could have another great final series or another MVP, I think he would overtake Kobe. The reason that I have Kobe in front of him, Kobe has 18 career All-Star games to Steph's 8. Kobe is also a 12-time All-Defensive team to Steph's 0. Kobe was truly one of the greatest defenders this game's ever seen. And he's often overlooked because his offense was so great. He was also a 2-time scoring champ, and Steph was also a 2-time scoring champ. So you got two guys. Kobe has more rings, more finals MVPs, a better defender, and they're both great scorers. Kobe is third all-time on the scoring list, where Steph is 47th like we talked about. So the argument for Steph Curry is not very strong against Kobe Bryant. When you're talking Larry Bird has less championships while playing with a stacked roster. Larry Bird does have one more MVP and one more finals MVP. But to me, Steph has passed Larry Bird with his last title. So there's one of the guys that we needed to knock off for Steph to hit this top 10. So right there, and then, which moves him to, he needs one more guy to pass. And that guy is Hakeem, Olajuwon, and Wilt Chamberlain. I think he's passed them both. Hakeem's best argument is his defense. Hakeem was probably the greatest defensive player of all time, and his playoff career averaged 25.9 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 3.3 blocks a game. That is unheard of, 3.3 blocks a game. That's truly, truly impressive. Hakeem only had 2 championships and only had 1 MVP. He was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, though. So you have this discussion, who's better between the two, and I think you end up with the answer of Steph Curry, but not by much. Hakeem is truly overlooked, as a lot of guys are. We tend to have discussions about Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Shaq, some of these exciting players, where guys like Hakeem and Tim Duncan were so great, but they're often overlooked. So to me, when you're looking at this list, Steph Curry is 9th all time. And I believe he has officially achieved that after winning this NBA championship. He's behind, and this is not in order. I don't want this to be in order. Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, LeBron, MJ, Shaq, Kobe, Magic, and Tim Duncan. Steph is in front of Hakeem, Bird, Wilt, and Kevin Durant. And I think that when you break down the numbers and you truly dig deep into those numbers and their accolades and all those sorts of things, I think that's the correct spot for him. Because it's hard to make a debate, like I said, that Steph is better than those 8 guys in front of him. And it's hard to make a debate that those 3 guys behind him are better than him. Steph has truly had one of the greatest careers of all time, and I'm excited to keep watching him play. I appreciate you tuning in. We're going to talk more legacy debates, and we're going to talk more rankings in the coming videos. So please subscribe, stay tuned in. Thanks for watching the video. Deuces.